Welcome to ESPN's College Football Saturday. Tonight, the Virginia Tech Hokies take on the #1 ranked USC Trojans in the Black Coaches Association Football Classic. All season, ESPN Saturday Night College Football will be broadcast in high definition, presented by Philips and Best Buy. Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Franklin, and welcome to Landover, Maryland. The co-national champions and the preseason #1 ranked men of Troy have come a long way to play their first ball game at this BCA Classic here in Landover as they take on the newest member of the Atlantic Coast Conference, the Virginia Tech Hokies. And right now, they have the floor. And it also means that my partner, Mike Gottfried, and I are reunited for a 13th season. That makes me very happy. And, Michael, it's good to be with you again, my friend.
Good to be with you, Ron.
Mike, let's talk about a couple of issues that the guys were talking about down on the field. First of all, Mike Williams, not with Southern California. His career is done there. What really to you does that mean as far as the Trojans are concerned?
Ron, when we were out in L.A. 10 days ago watching USC practice, the coaches made a decision that time not to practice Mike Williams. So they prepared to play the season without Mike Williams. Now, the two questions I have on USC's football team is the wide receivers, the youth of the wide receivers, and the offensive line, because we're going to find out those answers here in a little bit.
As far as Virginia Tech is concerned, as we know, well-documented, Marcus Vick will not have a part in this season. It means that senior Bryan Randall is the guy who will carry the mantle for the Hokies. What does that mean to you?
Big loss, because if you're Coach Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech, you don't want Bryan Randall running many option plays. You don't want him scrambling much, because the drop-off is a freshman quarterback if Bryan Randall gets hurt. So it changes the game plan a little bit.
So, Mike, let's draw a line. And what does that mean as far as this one here tonight?
This one, I think USC's defense is great. I think Virginia Tech's got to get a short field. They got to get defensive turnover, an interception, a fumble, a punt return, a punt block, or kickoff return to give them the short field against USC's defense.
Okay, Mike Gottfried, it is time now to introduce our newest member of the team, our third member who's down on the sidelines. Please say hello to Aaron Andrews. Aaron.
Ron, thank you so much. With a national championship under his belt and a preseason ranking to live up to, USC's head coach Pete Carroll isn't taking anything lightly. Now, hoping to minimize distractions. Last week, Carroll took his team to an LA hotel. He had them go to team meetings, go to team meals, abide by curfew, and watch film. He wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page. And Ron, with 7 freshmen set to take the field tonight, Pete Carroll isn't taking any chances.
Well, you know, I'm not sure you can over-rehearse any kind of situation, and you've been a head coach. What do you think of that move?
No, I applaud the AD, Mike Garrett, because he gave Pete Carroll the permission, spent the money. You don't want something to happen at the hotel in your first away game to take away any kind of focus of your football team. I applaud Mike Garrett, and I applaud Pete Carroll for a great move.
All across the way, the 18th season for actually a guy who was a 3-year starter at quarterback at Virginia Tech, coaching at his alma mater, won last 8 season opening games. USC has won the toss, and they have deferred. The weather tonight, the biggest thing, we don't really have a threat of rain. However, the humidity is very high. In fact, it feels much higher than the 61% that is showing right there. But at least there is no rain in the forecast. Over 5,000 more seats have been added to FedEx Stadium, and they are filled tonight, so we should have in the vicinity, as you look at Eddie Royal, of close to 92,000 people on hand for this one tonight. Eddie Royal, Player of the Year in the state of Virginia last year, and they really like him, and he is what the coaches call electric. He makes things happen. Ryan Killeen will kick it off for the Trojans of Southern California, and we are just about set to get this one underway. Royal, 2 yards deep, he'll take it. Out to the 25 and now the 27-yard line, and that is where the Hokies will start. Mike, let's talk about the senior signal caller. He has had, what, all 13 games. He started last year. It's not as though that this is his first rodeo.
Ron, the way the season had gone for Virginia Tech, where they lost 5 of the last 7 games last year, I think there's a confidence issue with Bryan Randall. He's got to get off to a good start.
The lone setback behind him is Cedric Humes, who was injured in the spring, and they open up with 2 tight ends. We'll check over the lineups after this first play. Possibly an audible on first down. Play action. Nobody was there. Here comes pressure. And the wise thing, he simply throws it away. Tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Bridgestone. This is the way the Hokies will line up. It is Hyman and Clifton, the wide receivers. Humes and John Kinzer are the running backs. Jeff King is the tight end. One of 3 tight ends we'll see this evening. Martin, Butler, Montgomery, he was a guard. They moved him over to center. James Miller is the right guard, and John Dunn is the right tackle out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. So, Mike, a broken play actually on first down. A case of early jitters here to start this ball game as the tight end King sets up in a slot out on the left side. They go motion. Here's option to the short side of the field. Randall has 5, has 10, breaks off the tackle, and it's going to be a gain of about 15 yards in the play, and that in fact make it a 16 yards advance.
Good call by Frank Beamer. You like to run the option. You want to run it from the gun set so your quarterback, Bryan Randall, gets a good look at anybody that's going to hit him.
So a first down picked up and a gain of 16 yards, and the new line of scrimmage is up to the 44-yard line for the Hokies. Had a very good start. And again, Randall is going from a shotgun formation. 7 men at the line of scrimmage as the corners have come up to play bump for the Trojans. Steps up into the pocket, going to go long. Got man coverage. Ball is overthrown and incomplete at the 24. Chris Clifton, the redshirt junior out of Chesapeake, Virginia, is the man who the pass was intended for. And here are the starters on defense. Rucker, Patterson, Cody, and Jackson. Sean Cody, a preseason All-American on virtually everyone's list. Great group of linebackers. Grotegood, Tutupu, and Sarts are the 3. There will be others who will play tonight. Very active. Wyatt and Nunn of the corners. Bing and Leach the secondary. And you'll notice these corners, and Mike will talk about it tonight, how they come up and jam, and they do a great job of not releasing the wide receivers. Here comes a blitz from way off the ball, and the handoff goes to Humes, left side. Nothing doing there. In fact, he may have lost it as Frosty Rucker comes up to make the tackle.
The one thing you watch when you watch USC play defense, they're hard to handle on this front. They have 8 defensive linemen. You see all the penetration they get, Ron. They're whipping the offensive line of Virginia Tech on that play.
Frosty Rucker, an interesting story, transferred from Colorado State. We asked him after that Saturday scrimmage what happened. He said it simply didn't work out. Draw play. Humes right up the middle, 35, out of the 40, and almost back to the original line of scrimmage. But I'm not surprised that Frank Beamer was a little conservative. No sense in taking a chance on throwing and giving up a turnover deep in your own territory.
It's a good point, Ron. I want to make a point here about USC. They've been reading all about Virginia Tech special teams. They would like to send a message to Virginia Tech special teams if they could do something big on their special teams.
Mike, we are going to see absolutely 2 of the great punters in the country here tonight. The first one, Vinnie Burns. He's a senior out of New Orleans. Another flag is down. High spiral. This one turning over, and it's going to be to Bush at the 6-yard line. Bush at the far sideline at the 15, cuts back into the middle to the 20. 52 yards in the kick and 15 on the return. Matt Leinart, you have to say that he is one of the biggest preseason Heisman Trophy candidates, and they're going to start with both tailbacks in the backfield, Lendale White and Reggie Bush. No fullback on this one. Maybe they got a special play in mind, Mike Gottfried. We'll see. That's Bush, who goes out to the right side. And now here comes an audible from Leinart.
They're going to run the quick screen.
Quick pass, screen ball, tip, almost intercepted, and it's dropped. Bach Bucky is the man who hit it, and Roland Minor is the man who almost made the pickoff.
Good job. Matt Leinart makes the call at the line of scrimmage. And a good defense by Eric Green, also getting his hand on that football.
Well, you're right. Bucky almost came up with that ball. Second down and 10. So Southern Cal with a different formation. Little razzle-dazzle to open the night. Now they go with one tailback, and it's Lendale White, sophomore out of Denver Chatfield. He'll get the handoff on the right side, puts a head down. Runs over a defensive back, still running hard, and it's going to be a gain of 8 yards in the play, and it's going to be 3 more yards after the initial contact. Here are the starting lineups for SC. Steve Smith and Chris McFoy are the wide receivers. Lendale White and Lee Webb are the running backs. Alex Holm, after missing all last year, is back at tight end. Baker, Drake, Khalil, the left side in the center. Matua, and the guy on the right side is Latui, and they simply call him Deuce. 375 pounds. Brought to you by Bridgestone tonight are the starting lineups. Gets the handoff again. Hit in the backfield, still fighting. Breaks off the tackle. Breaks another, and he's off. 50. Pushed out of bounds at the 45. 23 yards from scrimmage. And Darryl Tapp with an outstanding block on the play for SC.
Lendale White is a big bruiser. He's a Ricky Bell-type tailback. 754 yards rushing last year. He keeps his feet moving. Poor tackling by Virginia Tech. He ran out of tackles. Big first down.
Nolan Burchett is the man who got caught and got knocked over. White now 2 carries for 32 yards. And Mike Gottfried, in the scrimmage we saw in Los Angeles, that's exactly how they ran on the #1 defense of the Trojans. So let's see if the men of Troy can come up with a response after the turnover. Play action by Leinart. Got a man wide open right over the middle, and that is Dwayne Jarrett. We'll put an asterisk by that one as the talented freshman out of the state of New Jersey, New Brunswick, actually makes his first catch at the 8-minute and 25-second mark. Mike, we saw the scrimmage, and true freshmen don't walk on the field with the starters at a place like SC.
No.
He did. Virginia Tech jams the line of scrimmage on the second down and short. And they go straight ahead, Lendale White. And he is the big boom back, as Mike said. And let's check the starters on defense. Bud Foster, the coordinator. He's got Burchett, Jim Davis, and boy, the pros love him. He's really a good one. Jonathan Lewis at left tackle, and Darryl Tapp is the left defensive end. The linebackers, Anderson, Warren, and Bucky. And in the secondary, and here's where we've had a lot of changes and flipping. Jimmy Williams moves from safety to corner. Vincent Fuller was a corner. Now they've moved him over to safety. It is a first down. And the second time tonight that the Trojans have been inside the 40-yard line. Quick out pass caught by Jared. Nice job on an open field tackle. And let's go downstairs. Aaron Andrews, let's check with you.
Well, Ron, you know, there is some concern about Matt Leinart's left arm. He is suffering from tendonitis in his elbow. I spoke with Matt yesterday, and he told me he's wearing a sleeve on that elbow, and that sleeve has evolved over the last week. The trainers have put a piece of plastic. It's adding some pressure on the tendons. I spoke with the trainer tonight, and he told me it's much like a tennis sleeve, guys.
You know, in fact, a lot of times when they're doing their walkthrough, so to speak, he throws with his right arm rather than his left. 2 of 6 his numbers so far. Here's White. Whoa, does he get banged hard at the line of scrimmage and knocked down at the 35-yard line. It'll be third and about 9.5 for the Trojans.
Ron, going back to what I was talking about, a Leinart. Here's the play right here. You see Virginia Tech's defense stay square at the line of scrimmage and make the play.
It's Vince Hall, a redshirt freshman. And the word is for the Virginia Tech coaches, Hall is putting a lot of pressure on the people around him and Baki, who starts in front of him, to get more playing time. Reggie Bush, the lone setback. But remember, he catches the ball extremely well. And there's the middle screen to Bush. And he's got running room. 20, 10, touchdown, Southern Cal. Well, as we had just said, prior to the pass being thrown, Reggie Bush catches the ball so well, and as the term goes, Mike, you get him in space. In other words, nobody right around him, and he's really tough to bring down.
No, a run and shoot screen pass that Reggie Bush took in, but they capitalize on Bryan Randall's interception.
Colleen with the extra point attempt is up, and it's good. And at the 5:59 mark, we have somebody on the scoreboard, and it is preseason #1 ranked Southern Cal. 7-0 as you take one more look. Reggie Bush, 35 yards for the touchdown. We'll be right back.
Let's take a look at that touchdown pass. Watch the right guard and the right tackle right there. They're going to get separation. They're just going to brush block their defensive guys. Now all of a sudden you got both the tackle, tight end, and guard downfield. Reggie Bush, separation you need. That takes advantage of a good hard pass rush.
Well, great job by Matua, and also the guy they call Deuce Latui, who was a junior college transfer. Both of those guys are, well, you put them together and they're over 700 pounds. Second kickoff, it's going to go deep into the end zone. This one is not going to be returned by Royal. Cedric Humes, the tailback again. It's Richard Johnson who came in motion and now reset on the bottom of your screen. And the option goes to the open side of the field. Randall, 10, 15, has 20, and he'll take it out over the 42-yard line. Tackled finally by Darnell Being, the sophomore out of Lakewood Poly, the free safety, but it's a gain of 22 yards on the play.
Well, Pete Carroll's a pro football coach. They don't see the option. He's seen it a lot in the past, though, but the option is really affecting USC right now. They don't have anybody on Randall. Randall's running wild on the option play.
Well, Jimmy Martin
in the Pac-10, also not many option teams in the Pac-10.
You look at Randall, his numbers, an average of over 5 per try, 5 touchdowns. He's got 4 carries for 65 tonight. And Pete Carroll won't like those kind of numbers, even if it was halftime right now. From the 41, option again, this time to the short side of the field, and he'll have 1. Ron Franklin, Mike Gottfried, and Aaron Andrews coming to you from a jam-packed FedEx Stadium just outside of Washington, D.C. As we mentioned, they've averaged attendance here of in the 80s, but now they've added another 5,000 seats, and we're close to 92,000 in this building this evening. And right now it's turning a little more pleasant than it was earlier. We were worried about the heat and the humidity on the youngsters, but it doesn't seem to be affecting anybody right now. Southern Cal on top, 7-0. Second and 8. Here comes a blitz from the right side. Pass thrown complete at the 45-yard line. And now the official right on the play says no. The umpire was facing it, and he says, nope, Richard Johnson, you trapped it. So that will be a 3rd down situation. And right now, Mike, I don't know if it's because he's rushing a little bit or what, but that pass was just like the one that was dropped over the middle to Clifton. The point of the ball seems to be down almost to an extreme position.
Talk about that drop pass, and then you have the interception, and things are not going well for Bryan Randall right now. He needs to get it back.
3rd down. Randall in trouble, going to scramble. Got the first down and more at the 40, and goes out of bounds, they will say, at the 37-yard line as Jason Leach finally pushed him out, but it's a gain of 20, and he's now got 85 yards on the night. Wow.
A lot of times you get the pass rush up the field, man coverage, everybody's moving to the screen. All of a sudden now everything opens on the outside. Also a good block by Richard Johnson from the wide receiver position.
First down at the 21.5-yard line. Hamilton, blocker in front. Good ankle-high hit, number 6, Drew Good, the senior linebacker out of Huntington Beach, California. And he stopped what could have been a gain of close to another 10 yards.
Virginia Tech's offensive line doing a nice job protecting Bryan Randall and also opening up holes for Justin Hamilton, the backup tailback, is 6'3", 222. looks pretty good to me.
He does look good. He's got one of those styles. He runs a little high, but he's very strong, and he's hard to bring down. Humes comes back into the ball game as Hamilton lost his shoe. Humes hit by Tutupu, number 58, the junior, as he already has an interception in tonight's ball game.
Looked like again that he had something backside there. When Cedric Humes came into the line of scrimmage, it looked like if you would have been able to break to the left side, he'd have been able to pick up more yardage. But he was hurt last year, hurt his ankle, missed a lot of fall practice.
8th play of the drive. It started back at the 20-yard line. .122 total yards for the Hokies. 94 for the men of Troy, but they lead it 7-0. Randall just going to throw this one away at the 11-yard line. Tutupu was coming with pressure, and they were trying to set up something to the left.
They had the tight end, number 85, wide open, and Bryan Randall didn't see him. They drug him across the field. He was open. That's one of those plays you gimmick a play, and you have it, and you need to take advantage of it.
Brandon Pace will come in and attempt the field goal. It's going to be directly on the hash mark. It is a 35-yard attempt. He's a redshirt sophomore out of Virginia Beach. Got plenty of length, and he's also got the accuracy. And the Hokies are on the scoreboard. So we'll take a timeout with 1:42 left in the opening quarter. And our new score, SC 7-3. Well, the Capitol here tonight, a live shot in Washington, D.C. on this Saturday evening. The 28th of August. Reggie Bush, along with Desmond Reed, the two deep receivers. As you look at Reggie Bush, extremely talented, and so is Desmond Reed. As Jared DeBelli prepares to kick it off for Virginia Tech. 7-3 our new score. Bush fumbles it, picks it up at the 2. Short drop, puts up the fade, and it is caught, but it's caught out of bounds by Jarrett. Jimmy Williams is the man who had the cover on him, and that's a great matchup right there because Jimmy is 6'3", but the young freshman Jarrett is 6'5".
They're going to go after Jimmy Williams. He was a safety last year, and he's 6'3", so he's got to be one of the bigger corners in the country. You want to find out if he can move his hips and he can turn. There's Bud Foster, the defensive coordinator.
Now Lendale White, number 21, comes in a tailback. Short drop, pumps it over the middle, got it complete. It's going to be stopped at the 25-yard line. And it's Chris McFoy, the sophomore out of Chino, coming across the middle, and he'll have a 3rd down and short. That is the end of the opening quarter. We'll talk more about it in just a moment. And as we go to break, Southern Cal 7 and Virginia Tech 3. The end of our first. We'll be back with more right after this. So we are back in Landover, Maryland. Sold-out house tonight for this, the Black Coaches Football Classic. Some of the students from Blacksburg that have journeyed up here for this ball game. We've already made history. The last time that the Virginia Tech was a part of this BCA, we didn't get to play the game. We had a storm, and they had to cancel it. We'll talk more about that. Right over the middle, and there's a catch by Alex Holmes, the senior out of Sherman Oaks, California. Lost the ball momentarily. That's the reason the beanbag went down. James Griffin came over to make the stop, and I think Virginia Tech is saying that has to be incomplete. But the coaches are saying it's not a completion, and the officials say, yes, it was a completion.
I thought Alex Holmes had a great story when you were out there. You asked him when he was going to get back to practice as he catches this football. He's got this football. He brought it in, dropped it, maybe fumbled it, recovered it.
So it looks like it was a good call. Vince Hall comes up to make another hit on Lendale White. And I'll tell you, Virginia Tech, since the opening series, Mike, the opening series, they were a little shaky against this offensive front. But since then, they've been doing a good job of getting penetration.
Really are, Ron. I want to finish that Alex Holmes, because you asked him, you said, when are you going to start practicing? He said, well, I'm not in a real hurry to get back. He got back Wednesday. So he's in this football game. He didn't want to go to 2-a-days.
Hey, when he came in as a freshman, he weighed 305 pounds. He now weighs 270. Steve Smith in motion. Leinart looking, trying to get his receiver to ad-lib. Puts up the ball, and it is caught inside the 20-yard line, and that is David Kurtman, the fullback. And you could see Leinart had the presence of mind to signaling, hey, don't stay there, go on downfield, I'll get you the ball. Jonathan Lewis with a lot of pressure, but it's good for 26 yards.
Well, Kurtman needed a direction right there, because Matt Leinart was telling him, move, get going. And now he gets the ball to him. Now Kurtman makes a good concentrated catch.
Fullbacks normally don't have quite that good of hands, but he did a nice job of following that in. So it was a first down inside the 20-yard line. Lendale White again is the tailback. Virginia Tech comes with a blitz. You can see it, bottom of the screen. Leinart going to be hit for the second time tonight. He is sacked, and it's Jim Davis who was there to get him.
Jim Davis, again, a great story, Ron. Didn't have football last year. Didn't want to go to the games. He went to one game last year to see the seniors play in the game last year because he felt he owed it to them, but he missed football. He said, I'm blessed to be back.
He had a really unusual injury, Mike. He tore his pec muscle and had to sit out the entire season. But as we mentioned in the lineups, the pros really like him. Bush hit at the line of scrimmage, and again it's Xavier Adibi, number 11, the redshirt freshman out of Hampton, Virginia. And boy, I see why the coaches like this young man. You talk about active and making things happen, and what kind of quickness does he bring to the Hokie D?
And Davis, again, we talked about it. He sat out last year. He talked about his injury. I know Aaron talked to him when we were at Virginia Tech about his injury, but he missed football, and he's glad to be back.
Third down. The line to make is just inside the 10. This is the 10th play of the drive. As Leinart retreats, here's Bush. This is a play scored on the middle screen, looking for a place to go, and this time he won't be able to break it out as Chris Ellis, a redshirt freshman out of Hampton, Virginia, is there to make the tackle.
Safe call and gets you set up for the field goal attempt. Bush again shows you his value to this football team as a receiver out of the backfield.
Ryan Colleen comes in to attempt the field goal. His numbers last year, 19 of 24. His longest was 45 yards. That was against Arizona State. And this is going to be an attempt up 35 yards from the far hash mark. Ball is long enough, and it is wide right.
Playing into Virginia Tech's hands.
You're right.
Since 1998, this is the first time they are not ranked. They have something to prove. This is a fired-up football team that right now has played the #1 team in the country, head to toe, right with them, and except for a few mistakes, they'd be ahead.
So let's take a break. So we're back at a 7-3, Southern Cal on top. And we're not doing a commercial for Gentlemen's Quarterly, but actually it's former head coach Jim Donnan, who has joined us here in the booth, who is working with ESPN.com. Man, you look dapper. Let's talk about, Mike just made the statement as we watched the ball game, SC kind of playing into the hands of the Hokies as far as missed opportunities in the last few minutes.
Well, you got to deliver the knockout blow early against an underdog team, and I think Bryan Randall to this point has been a human highlight film. If he could get some receivers to catch the football, they'd really be in this game.
Well, you know, Jim, well, see how bad you make us look. You got.
Hey,
we'll put our jacket on.
Listen, man, this is a conference game, isn't it, or non-conference? I don't know.
Let me ask you this. But Virginia Tech got off to a shaky start. Young, not enough men on the line of scrimmage, just some, you know, some little things that are going to get called. But that, to be the poise that they've shown, I think, says a lot about Frank Beamer and his staff of keeping them together.
I like the fact that Frank Beamer's even playing this game. He's showing his team he has confidence in them. They've come out and made some early mistakes, but they've hung in against the defending national champion. And they've got a good football team. Not probably good enough to beat USC unless USC falters a little bit.
That's Jeff King on the receiving end of that pass right there. It won't be enough for the first down. Go ahead, Mike.
Talk about a neutral officiating group. I see Frank Beamer's a little disgusted over there in the sideline. How tough is it to get a beat on the officials when you've never seen them before?
Well, I've seen them. These are SEC guys, and I know Rocky Good's a good official, but we've had 2 personal foul penalties had a lot to do in this football game. But it's tough to adjust to officiating when you're used to the West Coast or the Big East guys. But pretty soon they're going to see some guys like this down the road because they'll both be playing in bowl games.
Third down. They need to take it to the 30-yard line. We'll check this third down play. And then one more question for you, Jim. Out in the flat, got it complete. That's the fullback, Kinzer, and he'll have the first down. As they move the sticks, it gives us an opportunity. Talk about what you guys do on ESPN.com. How many hits do you get, Jim, and what kind of questions do they ask?
We get a lot of questions, Ron, but we've had over 6,000 to this point in the first quarter. You can't answer them all, but a lot of good things happening for ESPN and college football and ESPN.com. We're just glad to be part of this and always glad to be with you guys.
Hey, listen, good to have you with us.
All right, thanks.
We'll
Look forward to seeing you later.
All right,
yeah.
Take care.
Okay, thanks.
See you.
Jim Donnan working with ESPN.com and here in the booth with us talking about what they are doing. 6,000 hits in the first quarter alone. Randall under heavy pressure, gets by one, will not get by the second. Number 99, Mike Patterson. And I will say it's a promo for us. In 07, that ball game will be played LSU and Virginia Tech. And I don't blame him. I would not have played this one right here and then gone down next week.
I like the decision to play this game. He said he excited his fans. They bought 53,000 tickets right away for this game. But his players went through spring practice, summer practice, fall practice, knowing they were going to play the #1 team in the country. They were excited after finishing on a low last year.
Yeah, very much a low. 4 of the last 5 they dropped and were beaten badly in their bowl game. Pass over the middle, caught by the tight end King, and King will have the first down. The ball inside the 45-yard line. It's good for a gain of 22.
Jim Donnan talked about receivers holding onto the ball. What's happening right now in the last couple series is for Virginia Tech, they're going to the tight ends on crossing routes. Here you see Jeff King, number 90, getting away from Darnell being a pretty good strong safety. But the tight ends for Virginia Tech, they use 3 of them, all good receivers getting down the field.
Jeff King, a leader on that football team as well. Redshirt junior out of Pulaski, Virginia. 3 catches, 47 yards. That's a career high for him. Running play, Hamilton right up the middle, spins off and goes inside the 40. And let's go down to the sideline. Aaron, what do you have for us?
Well, Ron, in years past, before the season opener, Virginia Tech would pass out T-shirts to both the offense and the defense. Now, they would be different T-shirts, and they would have a slogan on the front. This year, they decided to give the same shirt to both sides. Now, this is the shirt. I got my hands on it. Don't know if you can read it. It says United. Also, the football team is wearing these wristbands, and some of the Hokie fans in the stands are wearing them as well. They say Team United. Virginia Tech has teamed up with the United Way, and proceeds to buying these wristbands go to the United Way in southwestern Virginia, guys.
Okay, thanks very much, Aaron. Pass over the middle, got that one complete as well. Richard Johnson. Johnson still on his feet, out of bounds inside the 25-yard line. Tackled by Bing.
Ron, you look at this play, I want you to think about pro football. Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts, he does so much of this. Virginia Tech's coaches have spent the last 2 winters with the Indianapolis Colts coaching staff. That's a design play that the Colts use a bunch, and they're using it very well tonight.
Well, this drive started back at the 20-yard line. And they have a first down inside the 25. Hamilton comes in motion. Randall's going to keep it. Play action. Gets out on the outside. Breaks a tackle. Goes inside the 15. And they'll move the chains again. Arvett finally made the tackle. But it's a gain of 10. And should be a first down, Virginia Tech.
It looked like a busted play from the start. Bryan Randall makes something out of nothing here and shows you a great running ability, great moves down the field.
I'll tell you something, Mike. They better put it in the playbook. That worked pretty doggone well.
That's good.
1st and 10 at the 13. Kinzer back in the ball game at fullback. Randall now 8 carries for 96 yards. Hands it off to Hamilton, and he'll try left guard, and there's not much doing on that play as Darnell Bing, the sophomore out of Lakewood, comes up to make the tackle on that play.
Here's where you start running out of room now, so you got to really do some good things down here against this USC defense. I said before the game they needed a short field. They started this drive from the 20-yard line. This is an excellent drive by Virginia Tech. They need to finish right now.
Richard Johnson, number 12. Josh Hyman, number 19, coming at wide receiver. 10th play of the drive, and keep an eye on number 90, Jeff King, the tight end. That's Hyman in motion. Back to throw, out in the flat, got it complete. Hyman at the 5. Touchdown, Virginia Tech. Extra point attempt to come by Brandon Pace. Got it. And we are at the intermission. And this partisan house of Virginia Tech Hokie fans on their feet and making a lot of noise. And let's go down to the field and Erin Andrews. Erin?
Ron, thanks so much. I'm here with USC head coach Pete Carroll. Bryan Randall having a lot of success when he gets out of the pocket. How do you plan to contain him?
Well, we have to stay in our rush lanes. We got to do a nice job coming out of the secondary. He's done a really fine job so far.
The last time your team was down heading into the half was versus Cal. What do you tell your team in that locker room?
Well, we'll just go back about playing football. You know, this is a long game. It's a good football game. This is a lot of fun. We got to play good in the second half.
Coach Carroll, thanks.
All right.
Ron, back up to you.
Okay, Erin, thanks so much. Our halftime score, Virginia Tech 10 and Southern California 7. Now here's Reese Davis with the Pontiac halftime report. So we are back here in Washington, D.C. Ron Franklin along with Mike Gottfried and Erin Andrews, and Mike 10-7. More than a little bit of a shocker as far as this first half score is concerned. And I guess the question everybody sitting at home is saying, you know, what is Virginia Tech doing? How are they staying in this ball game against preseason #1 Southern Cal?
Good pass rush. Their secondary's clamping the wide receivers of USC. They're not letting them get away. And you'd expect USC to go downfield a little bit more and to challenge Jimmy Williams. I look for a lot of bunch set the next quarter out of USC to try to spring some receivers loose, but I still think they got to go downfield. On the other side of the ball, Bryan Randall's had a highlight half. He's ran the football, he's thrown the football, the play action, and I look for more tight end passes in the second half.
Let me ask you one of the questions about Southern Cal as we look at the first half stats. You know, they really have not been stopped rushing the football tonight themselves either.
No, and they need to keep running the football and not get away from that, but they got to take some shots down the field.
Well, as we prepare to start the second half, here's a note from the sideline. Xavier Adibi tore a muscle in his right arm. He will not return to the lineup tonight for Virginia Tech. Xavier Adibi. And let's check down to the sideline and Erin Andrews. What do you got?
Ron, I spoke to Virginia Tech's head coach Frank Beamer as he was walking back to the field. He told me he was very happy with the way his team played in the first half, very happy with Bryan Randall, but he told the team everything that we worked on in the summer, everything we've talked about is on display right now in the second half. He also said losing Xavier Adibi is very tough for Virginia Tech. Ron?
Okay, well, you know, he was one of the guys Mike and I talked about in the first half. Adibi, one of those inspirational guys. And actually, those young inspirational guys, I think, are the ones responsible for keeping the Hokies in this ballgame.
Young football team. Steve Smith's got to step up here in the second half.
There's Adibi right there. You see the ice pack on that torn muscle. hit behind the line of scrimmage. Lendale White will break the first tackle, and he winds up with a gain of maybe 1. Tap on the stop for Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech looks a lot quicker than USC in this first half. I know they traveled a long way for this football game. They practiced Thursday. They got in Thursday. They practiced Friday at 11 o'clock at Maryland University. Then they practiced a walkthrough here, just trying to keep the guys busy.
That stop by Tack just a moment ago. That gives him 5 tackles on the night. Play action, pressure on Leinart. He's going to be sacked. Tapp got him. Second time that they have sacked Leinart this evening.
Gerald Tapp, the players call him fast forward because he plays so hard. 55, he beats the block of the tackle on the backside and gets to Leinart. Not a good way to start the third quarter if you're USC.
So Dwayne Jarrett, the freshman wide receiver, comes out of the ball game. It is third down, and the Trojans need to take it out to the 30-yard line if they want to hold on to this football. Tight end Alex Holmes flexes out about 15 yards to the left. Leinart pumped it once, going to go on top, going long, and the ball is almost intercepted by Eric Green. Pass intended for McFord.
Third and long, Eric Green is sitting deep. He's the best corner on this football team. Where's the number 1? He didn't buy the fake, the stutter step and go. He's sitting right back there for an interception.
Only the second punt of the night coming up, and Tom Malone, as we mentioned last year, his first punt 42 yards. Last year he averaged 49 yards a kick, and they need a 49-yarder right now.
And when you punt the ball deep, people are used to running down 30 yards. You've got a great chance for a return.
High pass, gets his kick away. This is not a good one. End over end, bounds inside the 50-yard line, and they'll get no return out of this one. So aesthetically, it left a bit to be desired, but it did the job. It's a 42-yard kick with nothing on the return. And as you can see, he's not real happy with that effort to open the second half with his second punt.
It's a big series for Virginia Tech. They have great field position. Bryan Randall's a confident quarterback right now. Their offensive line handled USC's defense. It's a big series for the Hokies.
Running play, this is Hamilton, and he is close to an 8-yard gain on that play. Boy, Virginia Tech started with their worst field position of the night, and right now they have it a second down and short just across midfield. Randall sets in the pocket, pressure, put it away, and he does. And it's Swiger, Jeff Swiger, a freshman out of San Jose. And it's the first time, Mike, that they have gotten to a Trojan or to a Virginia Tech quarterback tonight.
Jeff Swiger, when we were out watching practice, they said he had some tremendous potential. He comes inside and makes a sack of Bryan Randall. That may be the biggest play USC's had tonight, because at this point, Virginia Tech is just doing at will what they want to do.
Tech leads it by 3. We're about to hit the 5.5-minute mark of this third quarter. It has gone rapidly. Quarterback draw. Randall has fired, has 10, and he will have a first down. $16 yards in the play after he was sacked, and he'll have the first down plus 3.
Give Brian Steinspring, the offensive coordinator, a lot of credit. Kevin Rogers also used to be at Syracuse and Notre Dame with Bob Davie as the offensive coordinator, calling the plays. But that's an excellent play call against this USC defense.
John Kinzer, the fullback, number 43, with an excellent block on the play. And it is 1st and 10, and the new line of scrimmage is the 44 of the Trojans.
98 yards rushing for Bryan Randall.
See the safety creeping up, showing the blitz. He's going to go long at the far sideline, and the ball is caught, and that's Heisman.
may get an interference on this play, Ron. It may be an offensive interference because I saw some hands come out, and they may call it on Josh Hyman. USC was lost on the corner, was lost in the play. Ronald Nunn. I tell you, the coaches of Virginia Tech are on the field, not happy with that call.
When you see the replay, though, you will see that he not only pushed off, he probably saved an interception because of the angle of where the ball was thrown, Mike.
That was big. We've had some big plays here. Watch the hands. I don't know.
Well, I don't know
I saw the hands, but I don't think the effect. I think Nunn just ran by the play.
You're right.
I think Frank Beamer standing on the sideline he wants the explanation.
Well, he raced what would have been a very, very big play. And after looking at the replay, I think Frank does have a big beef. New line of scrimmage, the 41-yard line of Virginia Tech. They got a first down and 25. Option play, nothing here.
Better job on the option in the second half by USC. Sean Cody, who was the first big recruit of Pete Carroll, kind of held that class together when Pete Carroll came into USC, made the play.
Crowd still lingering with some boos here at FedEx Field.
Frank's still not over that. He thinks about, I could be on the 20. Now I'm back on my own 40.
52 yards erased by penalties tonight. But field position, as far as this play and where that play would have ended up, that's more than 52. Going to be sacked at the 35-yard line. Lawrence Jackson and Mike Patterson. Second time that they've gotten to him tonight.
Here's the play in the interference call. His right hand may have hit the back and he may have pushed off. Doesn't look like much contact there.
So it's third down.
And Frank Beamer knows that one play has turned the motion of this football game a little bit.
Cedric Humes is the tailback. Randall under pressure again, just throws this one away.
That play, Ron, again, go back to that play because now you're in scoring territory and you get all the way backed up. USC defense got a lot of juice and they're feeling good about themselves right now. We'll see what USC's offense comes on the field and does.
Pete Carroll out on the field, and Pete trying to say, I think that he didn't believe that Randall was outside the tackle box when he delivered the ball.
Well, the one thing about coaches in the first game, you're going to get it from both sides if you're an official.
Burns to get this kick away around his own 25-yard line. Reggie Bush is the deep man. Left footer's boot. This a long driving kick, but very returnable if he can catch it. Bush has to gather it on the first bounce at the 5. 20, 25, and finally knocked down hard at around the 34-yard line. Blake Warren on the stop, so it's 59 on the kick and 29 on the return. Let's take a break. Hokies still by 3. USC's second best starting field position of the night on that return by Reggie Bush. Bush will come to the sideline, and in fact the trainers were stretching him out. I don't know if he's got the signs of some cramps or what, but Lendale White will come in at tailback. Smith in motion, looks off the corner, throw to a wide open Lee Webb, and the fullback comes out of the 45 to the 47-yard line. That's good for 14 yards. Warren on the stop.
Good call by Norm Child. First down, throwing the football. It's a little dump off. They tried to throw deep down the field. The fullback slips out. Lee Webb wide open in the flat. Now he picks up some additional yardage. And this is we've been talking about different big series, but you'd think that the offense would feed off the emotion of the defense. Reggie Bush split out.
They're going to go on top. That's who they got. Isolation. Bush. Goodbye. Touchdown. Southern Cal. 53 yards. Jimmy Williams. They toasted him.
It's a matter of time till they went up on top of Jimmy Williams. He's a safety last year, he's 6'3". They're going to make sure he can turn with those hips and run with a fast guy like Reggie Bush.
Ryan Colleen to attempt the extra point. Trying to make it a 4-point lead. And he got it. He got to yank that kick. But Mike, show us the all-22. What do you got?
When you have a player like Reggie Bush, you can move him outside. Now, he's a tailback against Jimmy Williams. Now, that's Williams right there, 6'3". They're going to air him out, and he doesn't move very well. Jimmy Williams, he didn't get his hips turned. And all of a sudden, Reggie Bush ran right by him. That's the first time they've been able to take advantage of the long throw. And a very good throw by Matt Leinart.
Mike, both touchdowns tonight have come from Reggie Bush. Both times they sent him out of the backfield. Last time they worked him into the middle for that middle screen, but this time they just left him out there and he flew.
You know, I remember what Norm Chow said. He said, Reggie Bush told him, he said, I'm not a wide receiver, I'm a tailback. Well, tonight he's a wide receiver, and his nickname is the President. In Washington, D.C., he's doing pretty well for the President.
Colleen will kick it off. Well, we have seen some good kickers in this ball game tonight on both kickoffs and also field goals. One was missed, but this kickoff here, 8 yards deep for the end zone. Special teams coaches love that.
Ron, in the evening of the Republican convention in New York City, we have two presidents in Washington. George W. Bush, our leader of the free nation. He's been in term 4 years. Reggie's a little younger, only 2 years. Mr. Bush is a conservative. Reggie's a tailback. Known as Mr. President, Reggie just the president. Second term, George Bush is seeking the end zone for Reggie Bush, and he's hit it twice.
Not many campaign dollars on that either. Boy, big pressure, going to have to hurry. Running for his life, and this time they got him wrapped up after a gain of about 1.5 yards. It's Lawrence Jackson, the redshirt freshman out of Inglewood, California.
Well, we talked about that one play turned this entire game around. The defense rose to the occasion. The offense hit them on a bomb.
And it's taken the crowd, a huge partisan crowd. It's for the moment it has.
That's
it's taken the crowd out of the game. It is, yeah. Jeff King, the tight end, flips over to the left side. He'll hit behind the line of scrimmage. Actually brings it out across the 20-yard line, and Oscar Lua, sophomore out of Indio, California, is there to make the tackle.
Excuse me, I was talking about the alarm clock, but the alarm clock went off when that penalty was called on that pass play. It didn't go off at halftime. That was the play. The alarm clock was heard by the USC players.
Well, let's see if the defense, they seem to be drawing from the situation. They can come up with a stop here. It's third down, and they got to take the ball all the way out to the 30-yard line. 2 seconds, 1 second. That is the end of the third quarter. So they got time to think it over. The big third down play as we head to the final 15 minutes, and they're standing and cheering here at FedEx Field. 14-10. Number 1, Southern Cal on top. So we are back, and you see the scoring by quarters. SC scored first, 7-3. The Virginia Tech came back and led at halftime, 14-7, or 10-7, I should say, turning some heads. And now number 1 SC has come back to lead it by 4, 14-10. Mike, what do you do with your Virginia Tech right here?
Tight ends been open all evening. They got Jeff King in the ball game. Get the ball to Jeff King.
3rd down and 15. Line to make is the 39.5-yard line. Randall deep over the middle. The ball is tipped, knocked away. There's a flag.
Right in front of the Virginia Tech bench. Darnell Bing's going to be called on the back of Josh Hyman. Pass interference.
Holding on 24 defense. Since it was a pass across the line on an eligible receiver, it's a 10-yard penalty, but an automatic 1st down.
Yeah, they're calling Justin Myatt for holding the receiver. Richard Johnson coming off the line of scrimmage. That's the call right here on holding on Wyatt.
Well,
Bing also was over the back. Pete Carroll's looking for the instant replay.
From the 35-yard line, 1st and 10. Zings it and caught by the tight end King. I mean, the tight ends have caught anything that was absolutely close to them. 17 yards.
They can't stop the tight end attack coming across the middle. And Jeff King is a big target, is 6'5", 263 pounds. See how he runs and his hands able to bring in that football. The strength of the tight end position at Virginia Tech is strong.
So all of a sudden, from rags to riches here. Can they make it an even better situation as they have a 1st and 10 in Southern Cal territory, almost at the 48. That's a career high for King as far as catches and yards. Randall, here comes pressure. Runs up into the pile, now throws it away, and it is incomplete. That's a great effort trying to get it to Justin Hamilton, but it was Rucker who made the opening tackle tonight, and I don't remember calling his name since then. Do you?
No, Frosty Rucker, toe injury, only practiced 1 time during 2-a-days. We talked about him going to Colorado State first. He said it was cold up there, and so he ventured back to L.A. Long arms, tough defensive end, 6'4".
Tustin, California. So with the incompletion, clock is stopped. 9:49 left in our ball game. Frank Beamer staring up at the clock. Not his enemy as of yet, but he trails by 4. Quick pass, got it right over the middle. That's complete to Johnson. Richard Johnson, a redshirt senior out of Catawba, North Carolina. And now here is a flag from deep downfield.
Dead ball. Personal foul on number 20 on the defense. 15 yards from the end of the pass. Automatic 1st down.
This is a good call because sometimes when the play's over, Darnell Bing's going to come in here and take a shot right here on Chris Clifton, the former high school quarterback. In USC, maybe you're losing a little poise.
Let me tell you something,
defense.
Mike, put an asterisk by that one, because with 9:42 left to play, an unthinking personal foul against Bing. They get a new set of downs, and the ball is now inside the 30. Randall hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he's going to be sacked. May have gotten back to the line, but Mike Patterson with still another tackle tonight. He's had a great game.
Ron, I'm impressed with Bryan Randall. He knows when to throw the football. He knows when to pull it down. I was watching the secondary. Everything was pretty well covered, so he didn't put the ball, didn't force it in. He took the extra yard that he's going to go down, didn't make a mistake.
So here they come with a 2nd down and 10. They did give him forward progress back to the original line of scrimmage. 14-10. Number 1 Southern Cal leads, about to go under 8 minutes to play in our ball game. Got in the flat. That's Hamilton. Hit immediately and then hit again by the 2nd tackler, who will stop him shy of the 25. Good. Will get credit for the tackle along with Justin White. 8th play started at the 30.
Virginia Tech best.
I'm not sure if Frank wants any part of this inside stuff. No reality for him, not in television anyway. Randall over the middle. Oh, and he misfired. He had him wide open. Richard Johnson had just come open, and look at Randall. Oh, my goodness.
Sometimes you're moving to the right and you throw across your body and it just takes off on you, and that's what happened to Bryan Randall. He's not going to have a more open wide receiver all year than Richard Johnson was on that play.
Brandon Pace out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, comes in to attempt the field goal, and this is going to be an attempt of 42 yards. Lance Goff is the holder. Good pass, good direction, good distance. We got a one-point ball game. So let's take a timeout. 7:55 remaining. Trojans 14 and the Hokies 13. World War II Memorial here in Washington, D.C. as we prepare to kick it off. Now a one-point ball game, and a young man who is very pleased tonight, Brandon Pace, attempting those field goals. He has hit 2 tonight, his first 2 ever. The ADT National Championship Trophy. That's the one that LSU owns as the co-national champions. SC, the other co-national champion. DeBelli will kick it off. Good high kick. Bush is going to take it 1 yard deep. Reggie Bush hit before he got to the 15, and it's going to be roughed down hard by Stevie Ray Lloyd, a reserve linebacker. Quick pass, got it out in the flat. Guess who? Reggie Bush couldn't get that one going, though, and this time Jimmy Williams says, come back out here again. You burned me last time, but come back to my neighborhood. I won't talk to you.
They kept him in front of him. The president got behind him on the last one just to raise up and throw the ball out to Reggie, and good tackle by Jimmy Williams.
See the numbers on Leinart, 16 of 25. And White, the big running back, is going to take it out close to the first down, but he's not quite there. You can see where our 1st and 10 yellow line is, and he's short of it.
Ron, one thing that Norm Chow does at USC, they alternate their splits to the wide receivers. And a lot of people are playing 8-man fronts now. Look at how tight the wide receivers are. They're able to block the 8th and 9th men on the defensive side. So that's why they can run the ball a little bit better. Keep tight splits to the wide receivers.
Matt Leinart comes back out with the play. Play clock is down to 5 and now down to 4. And he'll go with a quarterback sneak, and he's going to have the first down as he'll take it to the 25 behind the block of his center, Ryan Khalil.
It's what you expect out of the #1 team in the country. Bud Foster is throwing everything but this kitchen sink at him right now. But you expect him, when you have a lead, to be able to milk that 6:18 off the clock. And you got a coach on the field in Matt Leinart.
Lendale White, the lone setback, continues to work at tailback. Leinart going to go on top, put some air under this one, got a man, Smith, Steve Smith, inside the 30-yard line at the 29, tackled by Eric Green, and just like that, a gain of 46 yards, and give credit to that offensive front of Baker, Drake, Khalil, Matua, and Latui.
What made that play was the fake of Matt Leinart and the speed of Steve Smith getting down the boundary against the linebacker, James Anderson. That flipped the field.
Reggie Bush comes into the ball game at tailback. Leinart. Oh, he's looking for Bush, and nobody covered him. 3rd touchdown of the night, Reggie Bush.
Carroll nicknamed the president. He's getting a lot of votes here tonight for an outstanding football player in this football game. It's a well-designed football play. Brought him out of the backfield, and one of the linebackers slipped in coverage.
Actually, he tripped over the receiver who took it back in across the middle. Extra point attempt is up, and it's good by Colleen. And let's take a timeout. Reggie Bush, 3 touchdowns here tonight. And right now, #1 Southern California cruising. (21-13), 5:35 remaining.
When you get inside the 35-yard line, Norm Child knows he's going to get a blitz, and he's going to get man-for-man coverage on Bush from a linebacker, Blake Warren. And you watch the wide receiver come inside. Blake Warren trips on the outside. Bush is wide open for the touchdown. He knew and anticipated the call, and he anticipated the man-for-man coverage. He was right. Reggie Bush gets a touchdown. Matt Leinart's happy. And USC is protecting their #1 ranking.
Boy, I'll tell you something. The man who went across the middle was supposed to take that defender out of the play, but Warren tripped over his feet. He didn't trip him, and as it turned out, it was almost a double screen. 5 yards deep in the end zone, going to return it. This is Royal. And the player of the year of the state of Virginia last year, from 5 yards deep, probably shocked his coaches by bringing it out. But you could see it didn't take him long to get to the 30-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Hokies, and now the clock does become Frank Beamer's enemy. A short yardage. Good is the man who comes up and makes the hit.
Ron, Washington, D.C., the eve of the Republican convention, and Mr. Bush right here is having a big night for USC. He's been the player of the game and came up with all the big plays in Washington. So you know that old movie where the 48 Hours, I believe, when Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy said there's a new sheriff in town. There's a new sheriff, Reggie Bush.
I'll tell you what, I think everybody knew about his being deputized last year also, though, Mike. First ball that the tight end has dropped tonight, and he has good reason. It was tipped just before it got to him. Jason Leach got a hand up on it.
I think back on what Frank Beamer said. He wanted his team to be excited in spring practice, summer practice, fall practice, to take on the #1 team in the country. His team has played very well. They're a young football team. Next year is when their year is going to be, but they have played great football tonight.
3rd down, the line to make is out at the 40. Randall steps up, drills it, and this one too high, intended for Hyman. And he is really fortunate that the ball was not intercepted by Leach, who was really the closest guy to it.
A little too high by Bryan Randall. A little bit more pass rush by USC here in the 4th quarter. This game turned on that one play, the pass interference call. That was the biggest play in this football game.
Mike, and also the situation is like Southern Cal has had a spy on Randall in the 2nd half. They have not allowed him to kill him on scrambles.
No running ability in the 2nd half. Good adjustment by Pete Carroll.
Left footer's kick. Wobbly spiral, going to be caught on the run at the 31. Bush again. And Reggie will take it just short of the 40-yard line. 37 on the kick and 8 on the return. So let's take a break. 21-13, Trojans on top. 4:25 shows on the clock. 1st and 10, Southern California. Leinart throws it immediately, hit immediately, and maybe a yard loss on the play as David Kirkman did a good job of holding on to the football because Vince Hall was right there.
Yeah, Ron, Matt Leinart's had a big ball game. You expect the Heisman candidate and the All-American quarterback to take over. You look at this in the 2nd half, 11-12 for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's very fortunate Reggie Bush got on the bus in the plane.
No question.
Over here.
No question about it. You said in the first half he was forcing the issue, trying to do too much. And in the second half, only missing one pass. This is White going to take it for a gain of 3, maybe 4.
3 touchdowns by Reggie Bush. Here's the first one, the screen. Reggie Bush takes it to the end zone, untouched. Come back, hit him on a streak route where he beat Jimmy Williams. And then when he come out of the backfield, the linebacker tripped. The president had a big night in Washington.
Joe Bush with 3 touchdowns tonight, and that is the difference. 21-13 as we have 3:05 to play. SC is 6 of 12 on third down conversion. Over the middle, Steve Smith just dropped it. Steve Smith had it hit him right between, well, not between the numbers because he wears a single digit, but he hit him right on the number.
And you know, when you look at this, we talked about the question marks being the offensive line, the young wide receivers. I think the young wide receivers are still a question mark.
I couldn't agree with you more because Dwayne Jarrett, it's almost like they've had to take him in the second half, had to kind of take him out of the play calling.
Remember what Erin Andrews said? She talked about how they tried to go to the hotel, but you can't imagine what the first night is for a freshman football player.
Stood in there and knocked it. Not going to turn over. The catch is made at the 26, and Johnson finally pushed out of bounds at around the 35, and Jimmy Williams again had a shot at making the recovery. Sports Center coming up next immediately following the ball game. We've got 2:21 left to play in our contest. Randall runs by one defender, now drills the ball, and that is going to be incomplete. One other number to give you that shows you how hard they work on special situations. Since Frank Beamer has been there the first 17 years at Virginia Tech, defense and special teams have scored 88 touchdowns.
A lot of touchdowns, a lot of field position been changed by that man. He's one of the best coaches in the country, Frank Beamer.
Well, Bryan Randall with the group to Southern California this past year. Athletes in action. Was close to the SC campus. And thought then, dreamed about this football game as that pass is incomplete and David Clowney just simply dropped it.
Bryan Randall has gained in confidence tonight. When he threw that pass and the penalty on the pass interference, I think this game changed. And that on that play, I'll believe that when I leave the stadium tonight. Bryan Randall was getting it done for Frank Beamer. Without Marcus Vick on this football team, Bryan Randall has to deliver every week for this team.
Randall now has missed his last 5 passes. 2 minutes and 9 seconds left. Randall is sacked. And it's Mike Patterson. Patterson with the sack. Boy, he's had an outstanding ball game. And Nunn makes the recovery. Well, they say
Randall.
6 tackles for Patterson, but boy, it seems like he's got more than that.
Yeah, and we talked about stripping. He punched that ball out. Ronald Nunn recovers the fumble. But Bryan Randall has nothing to be ashamed of tonight. He came of age as a quarterback.
Well, we were giving kudos to the defense of Virginia Tech and their special teams. I've never seen a team that worked harder on knocking the ball away from running backs and quarterbacks than Southern Cal does, and it pays off.
The men of Troy have a very good defense. They were challenged tonight. Virginia Tech was ready with a great game plan by the offensive coaches.
Coach Rogers going over to talk with his quarterback following the turnover. Lendale White goes straight ahead. And right now, Southern Cal's not interested in coming up with anything as far as points as Virginia Tech calls a timeout. They just want to get on the plane and head back to Southern California. But the clock is stopped at 1:55. And Mike, this pretty well sums it up as we look at the defenders on the sideline. We've just been handed the numbers, and only 75 second-half yards did they allow Virginia Tech. That's a heck of an effort. White being pushed back here, and they'll give him forward progress to the 26-yard line. Blake Warren on the tackles. And Frank Beamer's team had some opportunities. I'm going to say hi to a young guy tonight because I know that his son Shane, who was a newly appointed assistant coach during the offseason down at Mississippi State. He's the defensive secondary coach, and I know that Shane is watching this ball game tonight, and I'm sure his heart is kind of heavy right now because he and his dad are very close. Shane Beamer's going to turn into a very good football coach as well.
He's probably watching tape because they got Tulane first off, so they may be working. But, Ron, when you look at Norm Chow, what he's done tonight, the adjustments you talked about at Pete Carroll on defense, Norm Chow's a guy that should get a head coaching job. There's a couple jobs in the Pac-10 that's got a possible chance of opening, and that man would be a good head coach for somebody.
Well, he was at BYU, and just a long list of All-American quarterbacks. Had Phillip Rivers at NC State. Carson Palmer, Heisman Trophy winner at SC, and now he's got another one that could be headed for a Heisman Trophy, as Reggie Bush is the ball carrier here. And it'll bring up fourth down, but the biggest thing is they're going to let this clock go down just as far as it will go, because timeouts left. The Hokies cannot stop it anymore. So Colleen is going to attempt a field goal. This will be an attempt of just over 40 yards. Good pass. He got it. So 54 ticks on the clock. Well, some of the long faces and a few little smiles across the way by Virginia Tech. Always tough to lose. And this is now going to be 5 of their last 6 when you include the way they finished last year. But they did have a chance in this ball game, and a couple of breaks that did not go in their direction. And a superior job offensively as Southern Cal took advantage of 2 situations that came up with Bush touchdowns. And that's the difference in the ball game. Well, this is Hyman who's going to return it, and Hyman is not even going to make it to the 15-yard line. Almost intercepted by Tutupu, who also had an interception in this ball game, and maybe that is something that we forgot about.
Ron, this game turned around on this play. This was the biggest play of the evening right here. Virginia Tech going in to score, had the lead, and all of a sudden this game turned on this play.
Tutupu had an interception that stopped a drive that was going very well for Virginia Tech back in the first half. I think he also got to put a star by that one as far as things that happened that didn't go right for the Hokies. Near sideline, caught this time by Clowney, sophomore out of Delray Beach. Clock now runs with 32 and 31 seconds. And I'm just trying to figure, they gained 3 hours. Just trying to figure out what time the Trojans are going to get back to the City of Angels. Going to be very, very early in the morning.
They'll be happy.
Well, people were hollering for a turnover there, but actually the shovel pass going to Humes. It'll pick up the first down, and the clock is stopped with 7 seconds remaining. And Pete Carroll is saying, get off the field, guys, because they can still snap the ball one more time. It's kind of like the relay swimmer who jumped in the water in celebration. The relay wasn't over, and the winning team was disqualified. Now it runs down, and it is Southern California who gets off to a good start. They got a bit of a scare by this man's ball club, Frank Beamer, but they come from behind and win it 24-13. So our final score, Southern Cal 24, Virginia Tech 13. Coming up next on ESPN at SportsCenter and over on ESPN News, it's post-game coverage. For more, log on to ESPN.com, your home for college football on the internet. And now for Mike Gottfried, Aaron Andrews, and our entire crew, I'm Ron Franklin. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Good night, everybody, from Landover, Maryland.